Okay, so we've been talking about finding the probability by calculating the area underneath a normal distribution, but I haven't shown you yet how to do that. Fortunately, all the calculations have been done for us. Otherwise, we'd have to use calculus to do it. But they've been done for us, so we're in good shape. So, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use what's called a z-table to find probabilities. Okay, now let me teach this to you using a particular problem. What is the weight of a shovelful of dirt? Okay, it's going to vary from one shovel load to another. It's never going to be consistently the same, but we experiment and find that on average, the weight of a single shovelful of dirt is 15 pounds with a standard deviation of 2.4. Okay. Now, this is going to change from one shovel to another, so don't quote me on these numbers. But what we want to know is what's the probability that a single load of dirt is under 13 pounds? And then what's the probability that a single load of dirt is over 13 pounds? All right, so the purpose of this video is to show you how to solve this problem using a z-table. Okay, so keep that problem in the back of your mind. We're going to address it, but I'm going to show you this z-table. This z-table takes all sorts of possible z values and finds the area to the left of that z-score. Right? Now, it's important to remember this table always shows the area to the left of your z-score. Now, let's say that I have a random z-score of negative 2.57. Well, on this table, I look for negative 2.57. Well, on the left, you can see negative 2.5, but where's the 7? Now, the columns of this table indicate the hundredths place. So it's negative 2.57. There's the 7 up there. Okay. So we have negative 2.57. We just quickly find where that row and that column meet, and 0.0051 would be the probability of a value less than a z-score of negative 2.57. Okay, that's how you use a z-table. Let's get back to our problem here on the weight of a shovelful of dirt. We want to experiment and find the average is 15. Standard deviation is 2.4. We want to know the probability that a single load of dirt is under 13 pounds. Then the first thing we need to do, since we're dealing with a z-table, we need a z-score. So let's find the z-score. And we do that simply by taking the value 13 minus the mean 15, which gives us negative 2. And then we divide that by the standard deviation of 2.4. So that gives us negative 0.83333 repeating. Okay, let's go to the z-table and find that out. So our z-score is negative 0.8333. Really, we can only do negative 0.83. That's as close as our table here will get us. All right, so we find negative 0.83. Okay. Negative 0.8 is the row, and 3 will be the column. Where do they meet? They meet at a value of 0.2033. Now here I have to make a huge disclaimer, and I will do that by showing this to you here. We calculated a value of z-score of negative 0.83, and it gives us a probability of negative 2.03. Sorry, I said that wrong. 0.2033 if you round up. That's exactly what we found on the z-table. However, for the z-table, we had to round. If I take my value and I keep adding 3's here, notice that my value has changed. It's now negative 2.023. It's changed a little bit. All right. So that is a major disadvantage to the z-table, is you have to round to the hundredths place. And there you can be off a little bit, especially as you get more towards the middle of the graph. Once you get far enough into the tails, it won't make that much of a difference. But we will have to do some rounding here. On an exam, if you use the z-table, then on the exam, I will take whatever the z-table has. Don't worry, I know the limitations of the z-table. Okay, that being said, let me also mention you have a link to a z-table directly in Canvas. The link right after this video, the page with this video, I will have a link for a z-table for you. And you can access this very z-table for your own reference. I will also provide a z-table for you on the exam. I'll have it printed right there within the exam, or if you go to a testing center, I will have a z-table supplied with the exam. All right, so you'll have this with you when you take the exam. Back to the problem. Let me back up here. So we've got the shovel full of dirt, average of 15, standard deviation of 2.4. We found the z-score of negative 0.83. We found where that met. That meant we have a probability of 0.2033. I believe, yes, I used the value from here, 0.2023. So forgive me for that one. If you said 0.2033, which is what the z-table said, I would accept that as well. So from that z-score in our table, probability of z less than negative 0.8333 is 0.2023, 20.23% chance. Okay, so what's the probability that a single load of dirt is over 13 pounds? You might be tempted to go to the z-table and do what we just did. But remember that the table only tells you probabilities less than a value. That means to the left. When you have a probability greater than, that means you want the right tail, everything to the right. Greater than. Okay, so what do? Well, we recognize that everything to the left is the complement of everything to the right. So we're going to take the complement. So the complement would be 1 minus 0.2023, which is 0.7977. And there you have it. That is how to calculate probabilities using a z-table.